What's up, everybody? My name's Jack. I run MBX Stake Pool on the Cardano blockchain. Today I'm going to show you how to build a Cardano relay node and then mint assets and NFTs off of that node into your Daedalus or Yoroi wallets. Now, the advantage to running your own node instead of using a third-party service to mint your assets for you is that you avoid fees and you also get complete control over the reissue and burn functions of your token. Now, in order to run a node, you need a computer with at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, as well as a 4-core, 8-thread processor. You'll also need a boot drive of 120 gigabytes or greater with Ubuntu LTS installed onto it. Now, if you want to learn how to install LTS onto your PC or your SSD, click the link in the card above to be taken to a video on that topic in particular. Now, you'll need 3 web pages open today for today's guide, each of which is provided in the description box below. One is to the CoinCashew guide, one is to the token minting guide, and the other is to a link on my website. We'll talk about that in a moment. So let's jump right into it here. Let's start building our node. We got our fresh install of Ubuntu LTS here. We're going to bring up a terminal now. So we bring up a terminal by pressing Control-Alt-T. Brings up our terminal here, and then we just start copy-pasting the commands from this guide into the terminal. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Beautiful. All right. Copy paste. It's really pretty straightforward here. Now, for multiple lines of code here, when it's not just one, this one has 9 lines of code. The last line isn't going to automatically run. So as you can see here, it says sudo make install. That's the last line here, sudo make install. We need to press return one more time whenever we're copy pasting multiple lines of code into the terminal. Okay, install Cabal and its dependencies. Perfect. And then this one has a little bit of a nuance to it, so I'll talk about that. You're going to press enter here for the first command. P for prepend. No to the Haskell server language, no to stack. Enter one more time, and I'll run the installer. Okay, now that libsodium is installed, and by the way, yours might take a little bit longer. I'll have all this stuff downloaded onto the PC, so it's going to be a little bit shorter than your guys' install time if you're just doing this for the first time. So again, multiple lines of code. You need to press enter at the end. And then for this one, if you're running the node on mainnet, you don't need to alter this at all, but if you're running this on testnet, you do need to alter this command. So let's bring up our text file now. Paste that command in there. Just change this from mainnet to testnet. Oh. Copy that. Perfect. Verify that all the correct versions were installed. Perfect. All right, now we can start building the node from the source code. Now, these sections, configure build options and build the Cardano node from the source code. I've already done this, so I don't need to do it again. But these commands do take quite a long time, both of which will say resolving dependencies for 30 minutes to 2 hours to multiple hours. So just sit tight. You didn't do anything wrong. It's going to say resolving dependencies for quite a while. Just sit tight. So I'm not going to punch in these commands again, but these are pretty straightforward. There's no nuance to them. You just got to copy paste them into the terminal. It takes a while to download, and then once it's completed, you can, of course, move on. Now, once we've built the CLI and the Cardano node using this command, we need to move those into the user local bin with this command. Go ahead and punch that in there. Punch that in there. You can see mine says it's busy because the node's already running. Yours won't say that. Verify that the versions of the node are correct. So mine says 1.33. That's the latest version as of the time of this video. When you're doing it, you might want to check the Cardano GitHub just to make sure that the right version is installed, but it really should be automatically installed. You don't need to worry about that too much. And old versions of the node do work. They're just a little less efficient than the new version. So do not fret about that step. Go ahead and copy paste this in there to start configuring the nodes. Now we're going to skip step 4. We don't need to configure a block producer node here. We're not creating a stake pool. We're just creating the relay node. So we're going to go to step 5. We're almost done here, actually, guys. So we're almost done setting up the node. What we need to do is configure the relay node. So we're going to copy paste this into the terminal, and that's going to create a file. And we're going to open up our file explorer here. You can see, go into Cardano my node, and then go into the topology.json file. Now yours will say mainnet-topology if you're running this on mainnet. So just open that up, and you can see that we have that code that we just put into the terminal is opened up in that file. Now, if we were building a stake pool, we would want to connect, we'd want to put in our block producer's IP address in there. That way the relay node is going to be relaying information back to the BP. But we don't need to do that for today. So we're going to go to my website. This is where it comes in. Again, link in the description box below. If you're running this on mainnet, copy this. If you're running on testnet, copy this. Shout out to Alex D 1985 in the Cardano forums for this code. Guys, super, super helpful. Go ahead, copy paste that in there. I'm running on testnet. Save it down. Good to go. All right, just a few more commands here. Skip over step 6 to configure the air gap. We don't need that. Step 7, we need to copy paste the startup commands in here. Add permissions to run the startup script. And then system D, this is going to have our node start automatically whenever we start up this PC. So that's really good. It will automatically start up the PC if there's any like power failures to the nodes and the PC boots back up, it will just automatically go right into it. So super, super helpful. Just keep copy pasting. And now we're just about done here. So we're going to skip these steps. These are just, you know, additional steps. You can restart the node, view the status of the node. But we're going to skip to step 8 here. Now, my node's already running, but yours isn't. So just copy paste this line in there, and you'll start the node. And then you can use these to monitor the status of your node. So I'm going to copy paste this journal command in there, and you can see this will show me, it just runs through everything that the node is processing, all the information. And then we are going to get a GLive view set up by doing the following. So we're going to copy paste this command in there. Oh. All right, so when you open up a new terminal and you copy paste this in there, it's going to ask for your password again. You need to copy paste it in there again. It's a little bit finicky. So if it asks you for the password on this step for setting up GLive view, always just copy paste it in there again, or else it won't work. Now for this command, if you're running this on testnet, then you need to alter it. But if you're running on mainnet, just copy paste it right into the terminal. It should work fine. But in my case, I'm running on testnet. So I need to get my text file. Oh, don't want to erase the topology. Here we go. And then just change mainnet to testnet. Easy as that. Don't need to save it. Plop that command in there, and then we're ready to run GLive, which is a nice little overlay that shows us our node status. Perfect. Now, as you can see, my node is already fully synced to the Cardano blockchain. Yours will not be. It will take several hours. You can even leave this overnight. For the first time that you sync a node to the blockchain, it does take a very long time for that sync to occur. So just be patient with it. Once it reaches 100%, then we're going to be able to move on to our next step to mint the tokens or mint the NFTs. Now, I'm not going to get to that just yet. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. All right, guys, we are back. Now that we have our fully synced relay node here, it's time to learn how to mint Cardano NFTs and Cardano native assets. But before we proceed into that, I wanted to take some time to explain the differences between the two. So NFTs, they lock after a period of time, which prevents the person who initially minted the tokens from then going back in and manipulating or burning them. So NFTs become an immutable part of the Cardano blockchain. Native assets work more as tokens as part of a larger token economy that can be managed. The person who mints the initial tokens, that being us in this case, creates a key pair that gives them complete control over the mint and burn functions of that asset. So TLDR, NFTs lock, typically tokens do not lock. Now, one last thing before we start minting, please note that you do not need incoming connections on your relay node in order to mint or burn your tokens. You only need the outgoing connections. Incoming connections are only if you are running a stake pool. You can also shut down your node at any time. Once you've minted your tokens, you don't need to have this node running 24/7. For today's video, we're going to start by minting native assets, then we're going to move on to NFTs, and then I'm going to show you how to move those tokens and NFTs out of the relay node and into a Daedalus or Yoroi wallet. So let's jump right into it. Again, all these links are in the description box below. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the socket path section for setup and ignore this line of code. And we're going to copy this one. However, this is actually the incorrect code for Ubuntu LTS. I don't know if it works for other operating systems, but this code is flawed for Ubuntu LTS. So I have the fixed code here on my website, again in the description box, and we're just going to copy that, and we're going to open up a new text document, paste it in there, and we're just going to replace this section with our username. And how we find our username is by pressing Control-Alt-T to open up a new terminal. And then we're going to find it right here, test 007. We're just going to type that in there. Actually, we don't want it to be caps, test 007. Copy that in there, paste it into the terminal. Now our socket path is set correctly. So let's go back to the guide here, scroll down. Now we can choose our token name. So we're going to, again, copy paste into a fresh text document. We're going to name one of these MBX. We're going to name the other one MBT. You can choose the token amount. I'm just going to keep it at the default, but you can manipulate that however you like. Going to copy that, paste into the terminal. Now those parameters are set. Next, we are going to check our node status. So if you're running this on mainnet, just remember to change this to --mainnet. So I'll just show you how that works. So I'm running this on testnet, so this is the command that I'm going to use. But if you're running it on mainnet, just copy that and replace that section with mainnet. As simple as that. I'm going to copy that, paste it in there. Perfect. It comes up with our slot number and our hash. It's exactly what we need. Now we're going to set up our workspace. So this is going to create a folder for us, and I'll show you what I mean. So right there, when we copy paste this in here, it's going to create a tokens directory that's blank. And now you can see our workspace is in there. We're set our CD. When you press CD tokens, it brings us into the folder, and now we're going to be using that folder as our kind of blank slate, as our workspace. So now we're going to create some payment keys. As you can see, they are generating inside that folder. Going to create our payment address. Again, change this to mainnet if you're doing this on mainnet. And then we are going to set our parameter. So you can see now our payment address is in here, our testnet payment address. And now we're just going to set our address parameter to that payment address. So that way, whenever we're typing in subsequent commands that say address in them, it knows that the address that we're talking about is going to be this one. All right. So pressing forward here, we need to export our protocol parameters. Just another copy-paste job. Create a new directory inside tokens, subdirectory called policy. See, we've created the policy directory. That's blank. Then we are going to create some keys inside there. Now, if you're going to manage your tokens in the future, you need to keep this key pair because this will be required in order to reissue or burn tokens in the future. Now we're going to create our script. You'll also need this. And so you can see we've created the script in here, but it's blank. Now we're going to populate it with the following command. You can reload it, and you can see now it's populated with the appropriate information. Now we need to create a policy ID, which is also inside this subfolder. And we check the balance of our payment address. So I haven't sent any tokens here yet. So you can see there's nothing in here. But what we need to do is go to the testnet faucet and grab our payment address. So we can go back into tokens, find our payment address, copy that, and just paste it right in there. It's going to be TADA, not test coin. You're going to click I'm not a robot, and then you're going to request the funds. Now, I'm not going to do that because I already have a testnet Daedalus wallet that has funds in it. So I already sent some testnet funds to this Daedalus that I'm just going to send out to my payment addresses. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to send. I'm going to grab my payment address. There it is. Copy it. Paste it right in there. I'm going to send 50 ADA to it. Send. Drag this off screen while I type in my spending password. Perfect. And now you can see I have 50 less ADA in this Daedalus wallet, and I'm about to have 50 more in my, there we go, in my testnet wallet. So, or in my, the payment address on my relay node. So you're basically creating your own Cardano wallet from scratch when setting up a relay node, which is pretty cool when you think about it. All right. So now that we've done that, we can move on to our next section, which is going to be setting some additional parameters. So let's go ahead and bring up our text file again. And then we need to find our TX hash, which we just found right there. I'm going to grab that. Paste it in there. The TXIX is 0. And the funds, we're just going to copy it right from this amount here. Paste, copy that, paste it in the terminal again, and we have successfully set those parameters. We're also going to set the fee. This code is incorrect as well, so when you paste it in there, just delete that $. It is not needed. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and build the raw transaction. And then, so scroll past all this stuff. It's just breaking it down for us. And the next command that we're going to use is this one that says fee equals, and then all this stuff. Paste that in there. Set the parameter for your output. And then we're going to build the transaction again with the fee calculated. We're going to sign the transaction with the keys that we've created. And we are going to submit the transaction to the mainnet. If you're successful, you should get a message like this, transaction successfully submitted. And then we're going to go ahead and check our balance again. We can see that it hasn't processed yet, but if we keep checking, there we go. So you can see it took the minimum transaction fee from the Cardano that we had in the payment address, and it shot us back the rest of the Cardano with the tokens included in it. So this is token 1. You can see we have the default amount, and this is token 2 with, again, the default amount. And later on, I'm going to show you how to actually send these tokens out of your relay node and into a Daedalus or Yoroi wallet, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, we need to create some NFTs now. So we're going to clear out of that directory. Again, you just type in clear and then CD to get you out of the tokens directory. And we're going to scroll up here, find the minting NFTs page, and we're going to scroll down to setup. So now we're on to minting NFTs. We're going to create a new directory. So again, just kind of visualizing what it's doing. So we have tokens, but we don't have a directory that says NFT yet. So now when we do this, we enter the directory and we also create the directory. Now we need to set our variables. So let's bring up our text file again. And we're going to name our token MBX. And we need an IPFS hash. So what we're going to do, this is where our image comes in. So we're going to go to our IPFS uploader, and we're going to choose our image. Just leave all the settings at the default, and then you're just going to click upload. It'll spit out a hash for you. All you need to do is copy paste that into this section here. Copy this, throw it in the terminal. Now you have successfully set those parameters. We can move on to the next section. Now we need to generate a new keys and a new address. Now what I could do is I could take the keys and the payment address from my tokens folder here. Like I could take these 3 items and copy them to my NFT folder. But I don't want to do that. I like to start with a fresh slate every time because sometimes it can cause some issues with calculating the minimum transaction fee and balancing the transaction. So I like to start fresh with an empty folder, new keys, new payment address for both NFTs and tokens. So let's go ahead and copy this in. So you can see we've created a new payment.s key, new payment.v key. Create a new, I created a mainnet address because I forgot the NFT guide. Let's see, it has mainnet in there. So we need to alter that command. Let's go ahead and go to our segment here. In fact, let's go back to grab the testnet code. Okay. Here we go. Now all we need to do is just copy this and replace mainnet with testnet. Because I'll just show you what I did. If you go into the payment address, this is a mainnet address, and we're not running a mainnet node, nor are we minting mainnet token. So we need to change that. And just going back to our original text file, now this is going to generate a new testnet address. So throw that in there. Go back here. It's going to say reload. Now you can see it says test. It is a testnet payment address. So, okay. Now that we've done that, we need to set our parameter as well. So now again, anytime you see address in subsequent commands, it's going to know that we mean the payment address in this NFT folder. The next thing that we're going to do is fund that address. So again, you can use Faucet for this, but I'm going to use my Daedalus wallet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the payment address that we just generated, copy it, paste it in here. I'm going to send 50 ADA, send it. The funds have sent. And now we can just check. We need to alter this command. There's so many of these commands in the NFT section that have mainnet in there, and they can be a little bit sneaky. So just be careful, kind of bear with me here as we replace and alter these terminal commands to testnet over mainnet. There we go. We can see the funds haven't been received just yet, but they will be momentarily, I'm sure. All right, as you can see, the funds have been received at this point, 50 ADA. And now we can move on to our next section on exporting the protocol parameters. Oh, I forgot again, mainnet is in that command. Just go ahead and change that to testnet. Perfect. Now we're going to create our policy folder. Again, if you look in here, you'll see it generating. New directory. Going to create some keys inside that folder. We generated our keys now. Now we need to generate our policy.script. Oh, you can see we got a handshake error up here. So we're going to delete this because what we need to do is alter this command. Because, as you can see, one of those mainnets snuck in there. So we're going to replace that with testnet, and then that should populate with the appropriate slot. Forgot where it was. Okay, there we go. Copy that. Paste it in there. Now, if we go back to our policy script, you see it is populated with the appropriate slot number and the appropriate key hash. So moving forward here, don't use these commands. These are going to be to manually generate the policy. The next command that we need is the slot number command. So we're going to go ahead and delete this section, clean it up. We're going to grab our slot number from the policy.script, throw it in this command, copy it, toss it in the terminal. We can just copy paste that one. Just copy paste that one. And this is going to be where we create our metadata. So I'm going to go ahead and alter mine. My description is going to be mainblockchain.com, and my title is going to be main blockchain LLC. Copy that, paste it into the terminal, and now we should see another file pop up. Not in our policy folder, it's going to be in our NFT folder, the protocol.json. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's not, it's the metadata.json, excuse me. So you can see it's got our TX hash, it's got our name, our description. It's got everything in there that we need for our metadata. That's going to come into play in just a moment here. So we're going to start crafting the transaction. Let's clean up here, get out of some of these others. Going to paste here, and then we're going to grab our, where'd our testnet go? Now we'll need to grab that again. So let's go ahead and sorry guys, I lost my testnet parameter. There it is. That is what the doctor ordered. Just paste it right in there. Beautiful. We can get out of that one. Go back to our guide here. And now we just need to set these parameters. Grab our TX hash right there. Our TXIX is 0. Our funds right there. Make sure you don't lose one of your quotations. That can screw up your whole code. Just leave the output what it is on the guide. That will be changed later on. And now we can just check to make sure all of the parameters are properly set. So as long as each of these says something when you echo them, it should be set properly. But if you see any that are blank, you might need to go back and make sure that you punched everything in properly. All right, now that we've done that, we can just copy paste this, which creates the raw transaction. Oh, you know what? I didn't change it to mainnet. So let's go ahead and do that. You think I'd learn after doing this like 7 times, but I guess not. Copy paste that in there. All right, that's exactly what we want to see. Estimated transaction fee. So ignore this section. Move on to sign the transaction. And then we're going to submit the transaction to, of course, the testnet. Transaction is successfully submitted. Now, where you can look to see if our NFT uploaded, should come up in a few minutes here, is on the testnet.adatools.io. Again, link in the description box below. But momentarily, we should see our NFT pop up here. So I'll keep checking that. In the meantime, I'm going to show you guys how to start getting your NFTs, getting your tokens out of your Relay node's payment address and into a Daedalus wallet. So, or Yoroi wallet, whatever Cardano wallet that you use that can support tokens, you can send them there. So we're going to grab a receiving address from my Daedalus here. We're going to copy that, and we're just going to throw it into my text file here. And delete everything else. Let's keep checking here. There it is. So you can see our tokens there. Obviously, it's a small, blurry image. Yours can be whatever you want it to be. It has the policy ID, the asset ID. Doesn't look like the site has successfully pulled the ticker or the metadata description and name yet, but that will be on its way shortly. It should populate here within a few minutes. But let's go back and learn how to send these tokens out of our payment address and into the Daedalus. So I've got my receiving address here for the wallet that I want to send them to. Again, must be a Cardano address and must be an address that supports tokens. I believe exchanges do not support tokens for the most part. So I do know that Daedalus and Yoroi wallets do definitely support Cardano assets. So you're safe to send them there. I'm not sure about any other wallets. You'll have to do your own research in that respect. So let's start with sending our native assets out. So we're going to CD out of our NFT folder. We're going to clear it out. And we're going to go back to our minting native assets page. We're going to scroll all the way down to the section on sending token to a wallet. And we are going to CD into tokens. So now we are in our tokens folder again. And we can copy this, paste it in there. We know that our receiver is to have this wallet address. And then we need to check the funds of the payment address in our, actually we need to set that parameter again. Excuse me for a moment here. Because our parameter is still set to our NFT wallet's payment address. So let's go ahead and we're going to find the command here. Where are you? To set the parameter properly. Is this it? It's going to be way up at the top here. Here it is. So now we're going to set that to the proper payment address. Perfect. All right, scroll back down. And the funds are going to be the amount of Lovelace. So we need to find out how much Lovelace is in this wallet, or in the TX hash that we're using specifically. So we can find this one. We're going to copy that. Paste it into the TX hash section. TXIX is still 0. So do that. And then the amount of Lovelace that's in there is right here. So I'm going to copy paste that into the funds section. Paste it down. Copy it. Paste it. We have successfully set those parameters. We can move on now. We also need to set the parameters back to our token name and our token address. So, or we've set the parameter for our address, but we need to set the parameter back for our token name and our policy ID. So let's go ahead and do our policy ID first. Actually, what we can do is we can find the policy ID, which is right here. It's going to be identical for each of the tokens that we minted. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to type in policy ID equals close quote. Perfect. Okay, so we got our policy ID parameter set. Now we need to set our token name parameters. So we're going to do token name 1 equals, and then we're going to go ahead and grab our token name, which is going to be right here. This is our first token. Copy that. And now we need to do the same for token name 2 equals. Grab this. Perfect. So our parameters are set now. We can continue with the guide. So with this guide, it tells us this is just going to send 2 of token 1 out of the wallet and into the Daedalus. But I want to send all my tokens out of the wallet. So I'm just going to alter that command. Going here. And we're just going to make sure that it's balanced. So we're going to copy this, because that's the total amount of tokens that we have for token 1 and 2. We're going to add to it. Perfect. And now we just got to change this to 0, this to 0, because we're leaving 0 in the wallet and we're sending everything out. So now we're going to copy this, paste it into the terminal. Going to calculate the fee, calculate the output. I'm going to build the transaction again. Sign it. And submit it to the mainnet. So the transaction has successfully submitted. Momentarily, we should see those funds, those tokens appear inside this Daedalus wallet. As you can see, I've already sent 2 of another token here when I was playing around doing some testing. But we should see all of the token of token 1 and token 2, which is MBX and MBT, I believe I named them, appear in this Daedalus wallet momentarily. All right, guys, just wrapping things up here, you can see that we did receive our 10 million MBX tokens as well as our 10 million MBT tokens on our Daedalus wallet here. You can also see that the metadata successfully pulled for our NFT, showing that the name is Main Blockchain LLC as we programmed, and then the description is mainblockchain.com, which, by the way, you can go there if you want to check out our stake pool. With that being said, I think that's enough for today. If you want to send your NFT out of your Relay node to your Daedalus or to your Yoroi wallet, you just follow this exact same process. It does require you to balance the transaction, which is something I was considering making a specific video on in the future. So let me know in the comment section below if you're interested in seeing that. I also was considering making a video on how to manage your assets, meaning how to burn them and how to reissue them in the future. So if you're interested in that type of content, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, ding that notification bell. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you learned something today, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.